When the 911 call first came in, dispatchers thought it was just another late-night missing child report. A frantic babysitter. A quiet suburban home. A little boy she claimed vanished while she was trying to make him dinner. But when police arrived, the case took a turn so bizarre. Officers still talk about it today. Because the parents rushed home in a panic, only to say the one thing no one expected. We don't have a babysitter. And worse, they had never seen the woman who made the call. The Parker family lived in a quiet New Jersey neighborhood, the kind where every house had a trimmed lawn, every neighbor waved, and every night felt predictable. To friends, Evan and Melissa Parker were devoted parents. Their 6-year-old son, Charlie, was energetic, kind, loved dinosaurs, and was rarely out of their sight. So when police cars, an ambulance, and 3 detective units suddenly showed up at their home on a Wednesday night, neighbors feared the worst. At 7:14 p.m., a woman had called 911. Her voice was trembling. She said, "I'm babysitting a little boy, and he's gone. I checked everywhere. Please hurry." She gave the Parkers' address and even the name of the missing child, Charlie. Officers arrived in minutes. The front door was wide open. The lights were on. A pot of boiling pasta sat on the stove, unattended. And in the living room stood a woman in her late 20s, pale, shaking, her hands smeared with tears and flour, like she had been baking something to calm herself. "My name is Alyssa," she said. "I'm the babysitter. Please find him." But something immediately felt wrong. There were no pictures of her in the home. No spare bag. No babysitting supplies. And worst of all, she didn't have a key. Officers were already beginning to question her when the parents' SUV screeched into the driveway. Melissa ran up the steps screaming, "Where's my son? What happened to Charlie?" Alyssa rushed toward her, sobbing, "I'm so sorry, I looked away for a minute." But Melissa recoiled, confused, terrified. And then she said the words that shifted the entire investigation. "Who are you? We've never seen you before in our lives." Detectives separated everyone. Alyssa insisted she had been hired, not by the Parkers but through an online babysitting group. She claimed someone named Melissa Parker had messaged her, said she needed help urgently, and offered double pay for the night. She even showed her phone. There was a conversation. There were instructions. There was an address. But the profile picture wasn't Melissa's. And the writing style didn't match her texts. Melissa said she had never created a babysitting account. Never asked for help. Never posted her address anywhere. The police dug deeper. Alyssa insisted she had arrived at 5:48 p.m. Charlie had been sitting on the couch watching cartoons. She said he'd been shy at first, but he warmed up. He even told her he loved the spaghetti she was making. But when detectives checked the kitchen, something didn't add up. The pasta water was boiling, yet the box on the counter hadn't been opened. The stove timer hadn't been set. And the step stool Charlie always used to help cook was untouched. It didn't look like a child had been in the kitchen at all. And when officers questioned her again, Alyssa said something that made the hair on Detective Rourke's arms stand up. "He told me his favorite dinosaur was the long-necked, the one with the tail." Detective Rourke interrupted. "You mean a brachiosaurus? The one in every kid's show?" Alyssa blinked. Yes, that one. He loves it." Melissa broke down right there, not from grief but from horror. Charlie hated dinosaurs. He was terrified of them. He wouldn't even watch a movie if one appeared. So whoever this woman was, she didn't know Charlie at all. Within an hour, 30 officers were combing through the Parkers' home. They found no signs of forced entry, no signs of a struggle, no overturned furniture, no broken glass, no footprints, no fingerprints other than the family's. But they did find something else. A small clay figure on Charlie's bedroom floor. A dinosaur, but not a cartoonish one, not something a child made. It was tall, thin, long limbs, hollow eyes, more like a creature from a nightmare than a toy. Melissa whispered, "That's not his. Charlie doesn't play with anything like that." When detectives showed Alyssa the clay figure, her reaction was strange. She didn't look surprised, or scared, or confused. She simply whispered, "Oh," like she recognized it, but she refused to explain. By midnight, the neighborhood was in chaos. Parents grabbed their children. Drones scanned the woods. Patrol cars circled every block. Helicopters churned overhead. But then came the discovery. Officers found a small sticky note on the kitchen counter. It hadn't been there earlier, and Alyssa swore she didn't write it. On it were only 2 words, "Check outside." The handwriting didn't match anyone in the house. Detectives sprinted into the backyard. There were no footprints, no disturbed grass, nothing. But the gate? Unlocked, open, just wide enough for a child to slip through. Officers brought Alyssa into the station for questioning. She wasn't arrested, not yet, but they needed answers. They placed her in the interview room. Camera on, recorder running. Detective Rourke asked her why she came to the house. She repeated her story, word for word, but her story had changed, slightly. At one point she said she arrived at 5:48 p.m. Then later she said it was almost 6. Then she said closer to 5:30. Her certainty was unraveling. Detectives asked her to describe Charlie's clothing. She said, a red shirt, jeans, no socks. But Melissa had dressed him in blue pajamas with yellow stars for a movie night. Detective Rourke leaned forward. Did you ever see Charlie in this house at all? Alyssa's eyes darted to the camera, and she whispered, I don't know. At 2:42 a.m., detectives got a call from cyber forensics. They traced the babysitting account that hired Alyssa. It was created 2 weeks ago. The profile picture? A childhood photo of Alyssa. Someone had stolen her identity. But it got worse. The phone number used to contact her wasn't from New Jersey. It was from a burner phone purchased at a convenience store 3 towns over. Security footage showed the buyer. Tall, thin, black hoodie, face hidden, standing completely still as the cashier rang him up, never speaking. And when he walked away, he passed directly by a missing child poster. A poster with Charlie's face on it. He paused, looked at it, then kept walking. Detectives now realized this wasn't a babysitting job. It was a setup. Someone had lured Alyssa into the home as a distraction. The next morning, a K9 unit picked up a scent trail near the backyard gate. The dogs followed it through the woods to an old drainage tunnel. On the wall of the tunnel, drawn in charcoal, were dozens of crude images. Children, dozens of them, all standing in a line, all faceless, all holding hands. And in the corner, a drawing of a thin, towering figure with hollow eyes, just like the clay figurine. Underneath it, 3 words. He took Charlie. Melissa collapsed when she saw it. But then officers noticed something else deeper in the tunnel. A small blue pajama sleeve. Charlie's. He had been there. Recently. Detectives confronted Alyssa again. This time, something inside her broke. She whispered, I think someone's been following me. She said for months she had felt watched. Objects in her apartment moved. Sticky notes appeared on her mirror. Her childhood photos had been stolen from her storage unit. She thought she was losing her mind, but now she was sure. He wanted me here. I don't know why, but he wanted me to find that door open. Detective Rourke asked, Do you know this man? Alyssa shook her head, but then added, I think he knows me. Police reviewed every camera in the area, every doorbell cam, every traffic cam, every parking lot feed, and they found it. At 6:12 p.m., minutes after Alyssa entered the house, a second figure approached the Parkers' backyard. Tall, thin, moving slowly, deliberately. But the most chilling part? He wasn't carrying Charlie. He walked in empty-handed. And 20 minutes later, he walked out again, still empty-handed, which meant only one thing. Charlie walked out with him, willingly, as if he knew the man, as if he trusted him, as if the man had been inside the house before. Detectives replayed the clip over and over, until they noticed something horrific. When the tall figure steps out of view, a smaller shape follows. A child, holding his hand. It's been 4 years since Charlie vanished. Alyssa was cleared of involvement. The Parkers moved away, and the case remains open. But there are still sightings. Families reporting a tall man at playground edges. Parents seeing a figure near gas stations late at night. Children saying a quiet man talked to them through their windows. And in each sighting, a small clay figure is found nearby, always a different shape, always long-limbed, always hollow-eyed. The last one was found on a park slide, next to a scribbled note. Charlie isn't alone. The man has never been caught. Charlie has never been found. And Alyssa? She left the state entirely. But sometimes she gets letters. Inside old envelopes with no return address. They contain nothing but tiny clay figurines. And on the last one, come home. 3 weeks after the babysitter who didn't exist case stunned the media, another disturbing report hits the same county. A 16-year-old girl named Marissa Hale vanished from a 24-hour laundromat while waiting for her clothes to dry. No one saw her leave. No forced entry. No struggle. Nothing. Except for one thing. A single 3-second clip caught on the vending machine's built-in camera. At 1:14 a.m., Marissa walks toward the vending machine, barefoot, clutching her phone, crying. She looks terrified. She keeps glancing behind her like someone is following her. She presses a button. The machine lights up. Then the camera catches something impossible. Marissa's head snaps sharply upward, not toward the door, not toward the windows, but toward the security mirror mounted in the corner. Her eyes suddenly widen in pure panic. She steps back, drops her phone, and then she runs out of frame. 30 seconds later, a tall, narrow shadow glides across the reflection in the mirror. No footsteps, no sound, no human proportions. Police reviewed every second of footage from the laundromat and found no one entering before or after her. Yet Marissa vanished. And the last thing she saw was the same kind of figure drawn in the clay figurine found in the babysitter case. If you want, I can write you the full 3,000-word script of this story as well. 3 days after the babysitter was taken in for questioning, investigators discovered something they weren't prepared for. Detectives searching Alyssa's apartment found something she didn't mention during interrogation. A small wooden box under her bed. Inside that box were 6 clay figurines. One of a boy, one of Alyssa, one of 2 parents, one of a tall, featureless silhouette. And the last figurine, unlike the others, was wrapped in a piece of Emily Carter's denim jacket. The same missing girl from the other town reported months earlier. The same girl who had written, "He follows me." Suddenly this wasn't one case. It was a pattern, a cluster. An expanding map of disappearances linked by one thing. A tall, faceless figure, always out of frame, always seen a second too late. When detectives asked Alyssa again who taught her to sculpt the figurines, she whispered, "I didn't make them. He leaves them for me." Then she started crying and refused to say another word. Moments later, an officer monitoring evidence shouted from the hallway. One of the figurines had moved. Detectives ran Marissa Hale's vending machine footage from the second story through the system. Facial detection revealed something chilling. The tall shadow in the mirror had the exact same proportions as the silhouette figurine in Alyssa's box. This meant they weren't dealing with a stalker or a kidnapper or an identity thief. They were dealing with something that entered homes, laundromats, and children's bedrooms without ever being captured walking through a door. And whatever this thing was, it didn't take children at random. It took the ones who noticed it first. Police released a public warning urging parents to review any strange behavior in their children. Unexplained drawings, clay figures, sudden nightmares, saying someone is watching from the corner, or talking to someone who isn't there. The final line of the official report read, "If your child looks over your shoulder and freezes, check behind you immediately."